Can you feel it in your heart, deep down in your soul? Let the love of God move you, change you, raise your eyes to see the one who gave us all so much. Forever God, forever love. Praise the living God. He is here and He is real. Worship Him together, worship Him forever. Look at what He's done, He gave it all for us. Can you feel it in your heart, deep down in your soul? Let the love of God move you, change you, raise your eyes to see the one who gave us all so much. Forever God, forever love. You will live forever, loving us forever. You will live forever. God, you are great. You will live forever, loving us forever. You will live forever. God, you are great. You will live forever, loving us forever. You will live forever. God, you are great. God, you are great. You will live forever. You will loving us forever. You will live forever. God, you are great. Can you feel it in your heart, deep down in your soul? Let the love of God move you, change you, raise your eyes to see the one who gave us all so much. Forever God, forever love. Can you feel it in your heart, deep down in your soul? Let the love of God move you, change you, raise your eyes to see the one who gave us all so much. Forever God, forever
In the Bible, there was a rich man named Nabal who was known for being rude. Nabal had a large flock of sheep and goats, and a wife named Abigail. Unlike Nabal, Abigail was known for being sweet.
Hi.
Not far from where Nabal and Abigail lived, King David and his men were camping. David needed some supplies, so he gathered some of his men to send to Nabal's house. He told them to greet Nabal with kind words, and Nabal should return their kindness. So the men went to Nabal, greeted him with nice words, and asked him for some supplies. But Nabal was nasty. Go away! He shouted insults at them and told them to leave. The men returned to David and told him the things that Nabal had said. David was furious. He told his men to grab their swords so they could get even with Nabal. Meanwhile, back at Nabal's farm, Abigail heard how poorly Nabal treated David's men.
Oh no.
She knew her husband's bad attitude could mean trouble for them. So she gathered food and supplies and loaded them up on donkeys. David and his men stormed through the desert, ready to get revenge on Nabal. Suddenly, they saw someone approaching. It was Abigail. Abigail bowed down to King David and begged him not to hurt Nabal. She asked David to stop and think before he acted out of his anger. David took a deep breath. and thanked God for sending Abigail to calm him down. David accepted Abigail's gift of supplies and went home, instead of doing something he might regret later on.
Hooray!
Because Abigail asked him to think about forgiveness, David chose peace instead of anger.
Hello, boys and girls. I am so glad you're here today. Today, we're learning about the Bible. This is God's truth. We're looking at 1 Samuel chapter 25. Today, we're learning about two men that did not get along. 1 Samuel chapter 25, verse 2 says this. A certain man in Maon, who had property there at Carmel, was very wealthy. He had 1,000 goats and 3,000 sheep, which he was shearing in Carmel. So, boys and girls, this man, his name was Nabal. Nabal. 1 Samuel chapter 25, verse 3 says, his name was Nabal, and his wife's name was Abigail. She was an intelligent and very beautiful woman, but her husband was surly and mean in his dealings. He was a Calebite. So his wife, her name was Abigail. Remember, boys and girls, there were two men that did not get along. 1 Samuel chapter 25 tells us that the other man, his name was David. Boys and girls, David, he became king. He was chosen by God to become king of Israel. So we know that there's Nabal and King David, and they did not get along. Let's find out why. Okay? So 1 Samuel chapter 5 tells us that it is because during the festival, King David and his soldiers, which at that time they were running away from Saul, they were hungry. What would you do? You were hungry. You would try to get some help and get some food. So King David, he was staying around Nabal at that time. He went looking for someone to help him. So he went to Nabal and said, we have been treating you very well, like your sheep and your cattle, everything. We have done our best to treat you very well. Will you be able to spare some food? It is festival time. Will you be able to spare us some food and give us something to eat? What do you think Nabal said when King David asked him for help? Sadly to say, Nabal said no. 1 Samuel chapter 25, verse 13 says, David said to his men, each of you strap on your sword. Okay? About 400 men went up with David. And do you know what they did? What these 400 men did? Yes, they went to fight Nabal because David was very angry. He did not understand why Nabal wouldn't help him at all. 1 Samuel chapter 25, verse 23 tells us that Abigail found out there was a servant that went to Abigail and said, this is what's going on. King David is coming. David and his soldiers are coming to destroy Nabal. Abigail, remember, she was a very intelligent, very beautiful woman. When she heard this, she right away put together a bunch of gifts and she went to see David. Verse 23 says, when Abigail saw David, she quickly got off her donkey and bowed down before David with her face to the ground. She fell at his feet and said, pardon your servant, my lord, and let me speak to you. Hear what your servant has to say. Please pay no attention, my lord, to that wicked man Nabal. He's just like his name. His name means fool. And folly goes with him. And as for me, your servant, I did not see the man my Lord sent. Remember, boys and girls, Abigail gave King David gifts. And she said sorry. Wow, boys and girls, Abigail made peace between David and Nabal. Today, we're learning that it is important to make peace. Abigail, she was what we call a peacemaker. Peacemaker. Nabal and David, they were angry at each other. But Abigail, she did what she needed to do to make peace between the two of them. Boys and girls, I want you to remember that you can also be a peacemaker. And you can forgive others. When you're angry at someone, you can stop, really try to understand why the person did that, and learn how to forgive. Or when you're angry, you can take deep breath, calm down, and then make peace with that person. Or you can count to 10. You can calm down, and then you can make peace with that person. Remember, boys and girls, today, our Bible story is all about being a peacemaker because God wants us to make peace.
He can't climb hills. I'll take it out, Mom. There he is. Get him. Give it to me, Davey. It's his mine. I found it.
This belonged to George.
George never played football. He was too sick and scrawny.
He did, and he lost this last year.
Give it to me, David, and you won't get hurt.
Prove it!
Stay out of this, Abby.
If David can prove that's George's football, he can keep it.
Whatever.
George loved the Green Bay Packers. He always used to mark everything with their logo. Here, look.
Whatever.
Can I see that?
Yeah.
Well, you really lived up to your name, Abby.
Thanks, Dad.
What does living up to your name mean?
Well, Abby was named after a character from Samuel.
She was married to a really rich and mean guy named Nabal, and he insulted King David's men, and King David got kind of mad. So he sent his men and tried to get back at Nabal. But before they could get there, Abigail went and made it all up to King David, and everything was okay.
She was a peacemaker, just like Abby was today. Well done.
Cool.
See you tomorrow.
Thanks.